Hello, fellow horror enthusiasts. Welcome back to Creep's Showcase Cinema, where we dive deep into the shadows of cinema's most thrilling and chilling films. Today, we're unlocking a gem from the late 90s horror vault. That's right, we're talking about Wishmaster, the 1997 supernatural horror flick that brought ancient evil into modern-day mayhem. Directed by Robert Kurtzman and starring Tammy, Andrew Divoff, and horror legend Robert Englund, Wishmaster offers a twisted take on the classic "be careful what you wish for" narrative. But does it deliver scares that stand the test of time? Let's set the stage. Centuries ago, in ancient Persia, an emperor seeks the ultimate thrill, dabbling with forces beyond human comprehension. He summons a Djinn, played with devilish delight by Andrew Divoff, a creature from a race of malevolent entities that exist between worlds. Now, these aren't your friendly, wish-granting genies from fairy tales. The Djinn are tricksters of the darkest kind, twisting desires into nightmares in exchange for souls. The emperor's wishes quickly spiral into a grotesque spectacle of horror, showcasing the Djinn's true nature. Thankfully, the royal sorcerer intervenes just in time, trapping the Djinn within a fire opal, a mystical gem intended to imprison the creature for all eternity. Or so they thought. Fast forward to 1997. The gem resurfaces in the hands of Raymond Beaumont, an eccentric collector of antiquities portrayed by none other than Robert Englund. You might know him as Freddy Krueger. A freak accident during the transportation of a priceless statue results in the gem being set loose, leading to the accidental death of poor Ted Raimi's character. A neat little cameo there. A construction worker pockets the mysterious gem, thinking he's hit the jackpot. Enter Alexandra Amberson, or Alex, a professional gemologist who inadvertently awakens the Djinn while examining the fire opal. From that moment on, she's psychically linked to this ancient evil, bearing witness to the horrific fates of those who make ill-fated wishes. Now here's where the fun, and I use that term loosely, really begins. The Djinn, now free, embarks on a soul-harvesting spree, granting wishes with a sinister twist. Each wish granted serves to fuel his power, bringing him one step closer to opening a portal that would unleash his fellow Djinn upon the world. One of the most memorable scenes involves a homeless man who wishes ill upon a cruel pharmacist. The Djinn, ever the eager genie, obliges in the most twisted way. The pharmacist succumbs to aggressive, terminal cancer in a matter of moments. A horrific and visceral display that sets the tone for the Djinn's brand of wish fulfillment. Let's talk performances. Andrew Divoff as the Djinn is, in a word, phenomenal. He brings a charismatic menace to the role, delivering lines with a chilling calmness that makes your skin crawl. Divoff clearly relishes every moment, chewing the scenery in the best possible way. His portrayal oscillates between eerily polite and downright diabolical, making the Djinn a memorable villain in the horror pantheon. On the other hand, we have our protagonist, Alex, played by Tammy. Alex is intelligent and resourceful, a gemologist thrust into an unimaginable situation. While Lauren delivers a solid performance, there are moments where her reactions feel a bit underwhelming, especially given the extraordinary circumstances her character faces. But let's give credit where it's due. Alex isn't your typical horror damsel. She actively seeks solutions, dives into research, and isn't afraid to confront the Djinn head-on. It's refreshing to see a lead character who uses wits over weapons to combat evil. Being a film directed by Robert Kurtzman, a founding member of the legendary KNB EFX Group, you'd expect top-tier practical effects, and Wishmaster delivers mostly. The practical effects are where the movie truly shines. The creature designs, the grotesque transformations, the explosive gore, all crafted with meticulous detail. The opening scene alone is a smorgasbord of body horror. People morphing into monstrous forms, limbs twisting unnaturally, and yes, a man's skeleton ripping itself from his body. It's delightfully gruesome. However, the film does stumble when it comes to its use of CGI. Granted, it was the late 90s, a time when CGI was finding its footing in cinema. Some of the digital effects haven't aged well, appearing dated and, at times, taking you out of the moment. That said, the practical effects more than make up for these shortcomings, grounding the film's horror elements in a tangible reality that CGI often struggles to replicate. One of the coolest aspects of Wishmaster is its ensemble of horror icons. It's like a who's who of the genre making cameo appearances. We've got Robert Englund playing Raymond Beaumont, adding a dash of sophistication and obsession to his character. Ted Raimi, brother of director Sam Raimi, makes a brief but memorable appearance before meeting an untimely end. Reggie Bannister from Phantasm shows up as a pharmacist who meets a grisly fate. Kane Hodder, the man behind the hockey mask in multiple Friday the 13th films, plays a security guard who learns the hard way about making wishes. Todd, best known as Candyman, appears as a sardonic bouncer who engages in a battle of wits with the Djinn. And let's not forget Angus Scrimm, the daunting tall man from Phantasm, who lends his voice as the film's narrator, setting the ominous tone right from the start. These cameos aren't just fan service. They add a layer of depth and homage to the horror genre. It's as if the film acknowledges its roots while attempting to carve out its own legacy. Story-wise, Wishmaster is essentially a retelling of W. W. Jacobs's The Monkey's Paw. Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it in the worst possible way. The narrative is straightforward but sprinkled with enough mythology to keep things interesting. However, the film isn't without its flaws. There are plot holes and inconsistencies that, if you stop to think about them, might make your head spin. For instance, the rules governing the Djinn's powers are a bit nebulous. At times, it seems like he can manipulate reality without a direct wish, while in other instances, he's bound by the need for explicit consent. And let's not delve too deep into how easily the gem changes hands without anyone realizing its significance until it's too late. But honestly, are we here for airtight storytelling? Wishmaster knows what it is and doesn't pretend to be anything else. It's a supernatural horror film that aims to entertain, shock, and maybe make you think twice about wishing for that $1 million. The film builds up to a chaotic climax at Beaumont's lavish party, a scene that allows Kurtzman and his effects team to pull out all the stops. Guests transform into grotesque abominations, statues come to life, and pandemonium ensues as the Djinn tries to coerce Alex into making her third and final wish. It's a visual feast of horror that delivers on spectacle. In a clever twist, Alex outsmarts the Djinn by making a wish that creates a paradox, effectively undoing all the mayhem he caused. It's a satisfying conclusion that showcases her intelligence and resourcefulness. So, where does Wishmaster stand in the grand scheme of horror cinema? Story: 6 out of 10. While the plot is derivative, borrowing heavily from familiar cautionary tales, it introduces a compelling antagonist in the Djinn. The storyline serves its purpose as a vessel for creative and horrifying wish fulfillment scenarios. Blood: 8 out of 10. The gore and practical effects are top-notch. If you're a fan of visceral horror that doesn't shy away from pushing the envelope, Wishmaster delivers in spades. Nudity: 1 out of 10. For those wondering, the film is pretty tame on the nudity front. Just some tight shirts and suggestive costumes. It doesn't rely on overt sexuality to sell its scares. Overall rating: 7 out of 10. Wishmaster may not be a masterpiece, but it's an entertaining ride for horror aficionados. Its strength lies in its practical effects and Andrew Divoff's standout performance. The numerous cameos add an extra layer of fun, making it a bit of a horror fan's Easter egg hunt. In conclusion, Wishmaster is a film that embodies the spirit of 90s horror, a mix of practical effects artistry, emerging CGI, and a penchant for pushing boundaries. It may not reinvent the genre, but it offers a nostalgic trip filled with thrills and chills. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend giving it a watch, especially if you're up for spotting all the horror legends making appearances. It's like a twisted family reunion, and everyone's invited. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Wishmaster. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next journey into the shadows. If you could make one wish without the threat of a Djinn twisting it, what would it be? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep your wishes safe and your horror movies scary. This is Creep Showcase Cinema signing off.